What's up, guys? It's me, Casey, and I'm back with another one. So today we are doing an install on my sister, and I am going to show you guys how I do the bald cap method to start, because I never did a bald cap method on my channel, so I thought this was a perfect opportunity to show you guys. So I started by braiding her hair back, and then I oiled her scalp, and then I'm just taking some of the Eben spray on the front of her hairline to pull the hair back so that there's no hairs or any of her actual natural hair left out. So now I'm taking the stocking cap and I'm gonna pull it over all of her head and some of her forehead, but I'm gonna make sure that it's over her ears, because you got to make sure that the sides are over her ears as well, because we're going to cut 2 slits in both sides of the ear, and you'll see me doing that now. And that just helps with keeping the lace down on the sideburns, because if you don't do this portion, the sideburns will not be covered when you actually go to put the wig on. So that is important, to cut the holes in the ear tabs so that the sideburns can be tacked down. The sideburns of the cap can be tacked down. So I'm going to go in with my Luxe Melt glue. This is from my line. And I'm just going to do one light layer around her hairline, so you can see through her cap where her hairline is. So you're just going to take the glue and make sure it's just above her hairline, like just in front of her hairline. I like to use glue for this step instead of spray, because I find that the spray doesn't secure it as well. Like if any liquid or anything touches it, it'll start rolling back, and that's what I don't want. So I use glue, just one light layer of glue to hold this portion down, and it just works better for me. So that's what I do. Let me apologize from now if I sound a little bit congested or stuffy, or if I cough, because I've been trying to get through this cold for the last few days. I think there's a flu season going around in my area. I don't know, but I'm just recovering, but there's still a lot of mucus buildup. So in any case, after you do this one layer, you're just going to allow it to dry. And that when it's dry, you'll know, because it turns clear. So it will fully be clear when it dries. So I'm taking a threading needle and I'm sewing down the back, because I don't want the back to pull. I find when you don't sew down the back, what could happen is when you put the wig on, this cap can just pull from the back, and you don't want that. So once the glue is dry, you're going to go ahead and cut the perimeter off, the part that's not glued down. You just cut it all off. Because if it's not glued down, that means it doesn't need to be there. So you just cut it right off. The cutting doesn't need to be perfect either. It just cut off as much as you can that's not glued down, as close to the hairline as possible that's not glued down. It really just, that's it. It's really, the bald cap method is super simple. It's not very complicated, and I don't want to overcomplicate anything, because it's really as simple as I'm doing it. That's how simple it is to do. I mean, granted, it might take you a few times to get it right, because everything requires practice. But don't worry, that's why I'm here, to teach y'all how to do these things, so you can do it on yourself, do it on your friends, whatever, to practice. So don't worry about it. So now I'm taking an oil-free foundation. I recommend an oil-free foundation. This one I'm using is called Cream of Nature Ruby Kisses. So right now I'm just matching complexion to see which one matches her best. So you'll see me just tapping a little bit on her forehead. So that one, the last one I did, was the one that matched her best. So that's I'm gonna use on her whole hairline. My sister's always laughing. All we do is joke. Like, we're just big jokers. It's hilarious. But in any case, so you put the makeup around all over the bald cap, and the one that's nearest to their complexion. If it's not nearest, like, so for instance, if you have to mix foundations, always go a little bit darker and not lighter, because the lace itself, or if it's transparent lace, it's already going to be lighter. So you just want to go a little bit darker if you cannot get the exact match. What I do sometimes is, if I can't get a close enough match, I'll mix the foundations together to try to get the best match. So here is the unit. This is from my line, Leger Luxe. It is to come out soon. It is not yet out, but I will let you guys know when it is available. This is a 13x4 20-inch wig that I dyed jet black, and it is a full frontal, so there's parting space, 4 inches of parting space from ear to ear, which I love. So we are coming with it this summer, so to stay tuned for that. So as you can see, I pre-customized the hairline. I find that to be the easiest. If you watch any of my other videos, you'll know that this method is what I always do because it is the easiest way to see what's left out and what needs to be cut, and it's just a nice guideline and makes the install go a lot faster, and it's easier that way. So if you're new at this, try this way. Pre-customize the wig off of the head first, then put it on. So I know you guys can see that hole right there in the front of the lace frontal. So my hot comb broke. Like my plug-in hot comb, it just broke. So what I had to do instead, which I've never done before, is I cut the cord off and then I put the hot comb on the actual stove. But because I'm not used to working with the stove hot combs, I took it off and I didn't realize it was too hot and it burned completely through the lace. I was in shock. But I'll show you guys how I fixed it. Luckily, it's on the front of the lace, so it's going to be cut off anyways, and I'll show you guys how I did it strategically in this video. So when applying the glue, okay, so this is very important that you take your time to apply the glue. Keep in mind this video is sped up, so the motion of how fast I'm actually applying it is not actually fast at all. The reason why you need to take your time is because if you make certain areas too thick, it's going to take longer to dry, and the other side might dry faster, and you don't want that. And you also don't want it to be messy, because if it's on in clumps or anything like that, only certain parts will dry, not all of it will dry, and I'll leave little clumps and you can see it through the lace, and you don't want all that stuff. So I put about 4 layers on altogether, but I only showed you guys 1, but I did do 4. I waited till each layer dried. So now you'll just see me tacking down the wig to where it should go. Now in this video, I tack down the wig before I cut the ear tabs off. I do not recommend that. So the next step I'm going to do after I tack it down exactly where it goes is cut the ear tabs off. But in hindsight, I would have cut the ear tabs off first, because that way the glue, I can't speak today. The glue can adhere to the ear tabs, because the ear tabs are the first thing to lift up on installs, always. So if I had cut I had some issues with the ear tabs because I didn't cut them off first. So I had to go back in and glue it back down even after I cut it off. But if you cut it off first, it'll be loosened up and it'll tack right into the glue. So do this step first before you push the lace down into the glue. Cut the ear tabs off first. For those who may not know, so it's not actual ear tabs that are on the lace wig. It's the whole lace will go over your ear once you put the wig on. So you want to cut that off because it's excess. You don't need it. So you want to cut it off around your ear. Okay, so that's what I call the ear tabs. The part of the lace and sometimes some of the hair that you need to cut off around your ear. If you ever want a detailed video of how or what that means from the inside out, I will show you guys. Just let me know in the comments if it's something that needs further explanation about around the ear tabs. Because for me, I did need that. I needed further explanation because I did not understand what that meant. So if you do need a further explanation on what that means or what it looks like I will give you guys a more in-depth how to cut the lace from around the ear or what it looks like. So right now I'm just trying to, you see where the hole is in the lace? I'm actually just cutting around it. Like I cut right through it, because that's excess lace anyways, so thank God I didn't need it. And if there's holes like further in the wig, like on the lace, there is ways to fix it. And if you are interested to see how or need a video on that, I will show you guys how to do that as well. But thankfully it was on the hairline and we didn't need that lace, so I was able to cut it right off. I am using some dull ass scissors, and so it was so frustrating because why am I not using sharper scissors? I have sharper scissors, but I committed to these scissors. Don't ask me why. But if you do have a razor, I find it's a little bit easier to cut with. But for me, I have more control with the scissors. That's why I use it. But seeing as how it was dull, I kind of just went down straight. You'll see that I went down straight because it's so dull, it's going to cut rigid anyways. And you see how I'm having the issues with the air tabs? That's because I did not cut them before I put the glue down in it. So it kept pulling up. It wasn't adhering. So now you see that I cut off one side. I do take my time when cutting. I just want to make sure that I leave on what needs to be left on and I cut what needs to be cut. If there's anything that needs to be glued down, I go back in and glue it down like you see me doing right now. I take a couple layers on the back of my tail comb. I put a bit of glue on the back of my hand. And I just go in under the unit, under the lace, and I put some glue there. This process alone, I believe, takes me quite some time because I always take my time. I feel like it takes longer than even styling because I always take my time with it. If you guys notice that when I cut that side off, I had to cut some of the baby hair off. So even though I pre-customized it, I didn't need that much hair. So I'm gonna go back in later and re-add baby hairs to re-part out baby hairs because I cut off basically most of what I customized out. But it's still helpful to customize it because it made it a lot easier for me to see if I need to go in and pluck any more or if I can just pull down the baby hairs and make new ones. In this case, I just had to pull the baby hairs down. I didn't think that I needed to pluck out anything else. When cutting off the lace, when you're this close to the client's head, you can actually see where the glue ends. I always cut a little bit further away from the glue. I rather go in and add glue as opposed to try to take away glue. Trying to take away glue is so messy and your client will not think you know what you're doing. But it's okay, like, you know, like everybody needs to learn some way. So this I find will give you the least opportunity to make mistakes if you just go in and re-add glue to parts that are lifting up. All you have to do is pinch the hair and you'll see what parts lift up. And you just go under it with glue, like 3 layers of it, 3 very tiny thin layers, and glue it back down, tack it back down, and that's how you fix that. I wanted to let you guys know that this looks easier than it really is. I don't think it's hard anymore, but at one point it was. So I can totally understand if you guys feel like, you know, it's hard. Everything requires practice, and if you continue practicing, you will get better and better every time. I gave up on doing hair or trying to do this for like at least a year. But then I'm just like, this is something I really enjoy doing. I really enjoy these kind of things. So I decided to continue trying. And I kept trying. I'm going to tell you, I messed up a lot of wigs. I messed up a lot of my own wigs. And it's just how you learn. And I was here for it because I found some way, although I messed up, to not continue messing up in the exact same way. Once you make a mistake, you'll know what not to do for next time. And that's how you learn until you pretty much get over most of your mistakes. But for me, everybody's still learning. I'm still learning, even though, you know, for the most part, it's pretty repetitive for me. But there's always new styles, and I'm always here to always learn from you guys even. If you guys know more about installs or other ways for me to do these things, you can let me know in the comments. I would try them, you know, because I'm always open to learn as well as teach what I do know as well. So before I put the band on, the melt band on, I am cleaning up the hairline. I took out, remade the baby hairs basically. Took them out, the sideburns, everything out to make sure everything is nice and clean. I go back in with some of the makeup that I use on her wig cap and on the wig just to tap in the hairline. So I'm just gonna take the hot comb and push everything back so that there's a clean part in between the baby hairs and the actual hair on the wig. I am going in with the Eben spray in the black spray bottle to put right in between the baby hair and the hairline there. So I'm just spraying all across. This is an extra added hold, and it further melts the lace into her skin. So when I put the melt band on, I actually like to double it. I use 2 melt bands. It just presses it down further into skin, so I don't have to make one too tight. I just make both pretty moderate, but it does basically double the hold. And then I just go through with the blow dryer to blow everything back and loosen the hair a little bit more. And then I'm gonna sew the wig down. Okay, this is a step I never miss with clients. Myself, sure, but not with my clients. I always want to make sure they have the longest wear out of their wigs. Do you guys hear that? It's the background. I apologize. There's some construction in my area and it's just super loud. I'm sorry about that. So in any case, I left the band on for about 15 minutes and now I'm just going into styling. She wanted this like curled at the back and then this pulled back side type of look. I guess you guys saw from the thumbnail and the intro what a style I'm doing. So this, of course, I wouldn't say it was challenging, but I never did this style before, so it did take me some time to get right. So now you see me, since I have to go back and forth from the stove, the actual kitchen stove, now you'll see me just basically styling. This styling, I use my wax stick from my line as well, and I'm just molding down the hair. I kind of like using the stove with the hot comb. I found that it flattened everything in just maybe 1 stroke or 2 strokes. I didn't have to go too hard, and it made everything a lot neater. So it might be something I do stick to once I learn the temperature gauges, because right now I do not know, and it's not like it turns red or anything like that. It's just, it gets hot and I just have to blow on it until it cools down. So once I get my rhythm on how to use this, I'll probably use it once in a while. But I already purchased a new hot comb anyways, so. I'm slicking everything back so that I could put that little piece in the middle in a ponytail. But eventually I have to change it because the style required 2 pieces, side bang pieces at the front, and I forgot to part that out. I worked so hard to get this in a sleek ponytail, and then I had to take it down and put 2 bangs in the front. Oh my gosh, but it was okay. You'll see, I don't get to show you like me putting the bangs in because it was already getting super late, but you'll see that I had to change it up, and you'll see it from the thumbnails. So yeah, I had to go back in, take this whole elastic out and put the bangs down for her. Completely forgot. And basically, like, I'm looking at her hairline. Do you guys see that? That basically looked like it's coming out of her scalp. Like, it was so melted. I was so impressed with that. I was like, yes, baby. So now I'm just using my curling wand and quickly going to curl through it. I'm going to show you guys a couple of the curls or how I do it. I lightly spray with some holding spray. It's like a very light hold. It's like level 2 or 3. And then I just use my curling wand and wrap the hair around and let it go. And that's how simple I'm doing the back. Nothing too crazy. This girl done fell asleep. Look at her. I know, it's really late at night though, and we have the kids there and it got late. So yeah, she definitely fell asleep. Hard-working woman, this girl. But I told her, I'm definitely going to need you to wake up. So now I'm going to show you guys how I lay my baby hairs. For the sideburn, I went back in and I took my tweezers and plucked them thinner. I did not get to record that. I guess I must have forgot to press record because I had to like stop on and off. But yes, I went in with my tweezer and tweezed out the sides, because if I left them the way they were, they'd have been way too thick. So I did pluck them out quite a bit. So now I'm cutting the baby hairs. So what I like to do is I like to leave the part nearest to your eyelash longest, and the part basically you cut shorter at the top and then longer at the bottom, so that the longer part swoops into the rest of the hair. That's what I do. So I use a little curling iron. Sometimes I use a pencil curler as well, but I found my little curling iron, so I'm just using that. And then I use some gel. So the gel I use is Eco Styler olive oil gel, and it just helps hold the hair in place while I mold the baby hairs. So I find it's very, very helpful. Instead of just going in with the foam alone, I go in with the gel first. You can use Got2b glue gel as well, but I find with the Got2b glue gel, it dries a little bit too crunchy, even if you use a little bit. So I use the gel instead. So when it dries, it still dries nice and soft. So that's what I use, and it holds it in place so that you can mold the baby hairs to your liking without the foam, having to worry about the foam like loosening up and then losing the form of your baby hair. So you don't have to worry about that when you use the gel on the top first. Now remember, the foam mousse that you use has to be alcohol free. If it has alcohol in it, your lace is going to lift almost immediately. It will lift up, okay? So you need to make sure it's alcohol free. I'm using my mousse from my product line, Luxe Melt line. It's called Style on a Mousse. So that's what I use right now. There's other mousses that you can use that do not have any sort of alcohol in it, but you just have to look them up. I know that a lot of bodies, one that people use a lot, there's Nairobi and a few other ones. So those I know for sure are alcohol free, so you need an alcohol free gel. So if you ever wonder why your lace is lifting, it's because the alcohol is in the mousse that you're using, and it's gonna lift right away. So be sure to know. That's very important for you to know. And trust me guys, using the gel first is so much easier to mold the baby hairs. Curling them as well is a lot easier to lay the baby hairs as well. So keep that in mind when you are doing this step. And you could take your time. The lace won't go anywhere too soon, but you don't want it to go too slow, because the moisture, you don't want it to affect the lace if you're using a glue that's not waterproof. Mine is, so that's a benefit, but if it's not, you don't want to do that. I just put it under the dryer for about 15 minutes so the baby hairs can dry completely. If you don't have a dryer, use a blow dryer. If you don't have an over the head dryer, use a blow dryer. Or you could just leave it, wrap it and leave it to dry, but you're gonna have to leave it to dry much longer. So I'm just adding the final touches to this now. We're curling down the front with the same wand I used to curl the back of her hair. I'm cleaning out the part. I use a permanent marker to fill in any sort of parts that I want to be a little bit more defined. And then I go back in with the Cream of Nature foundation in a lighter shade, one shade lighter, just to define the parts, because usually the parts are lighter in the middle of your scalp than on your hairline. So I go in with a little lighter shade, and that is it. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this video. And I appreciate all the love and support and all the comments from you guys. Keep them coming, because I will be coming back with a lot in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in again. Until next time, bye.